Thank you for joining. So today I thought that I would do a little bit of an update in the plant room. I'll let you get an idea of what's going on. So this plant that greatly had 6 stems now only has 2. Both of these stems right now feel pretty good. Like this one is feels underwatered, which means that it may not bounce back. This one feels great. So I think that we're going to at least have one good plant out of this group. I did propagate some of the stems that I cut, or I should say I attempted to propagate some of the stems that I cut. I see little roots growing on this one, which is very exciting, and this one as well. I had a plant in here that rotted, and so this is the other one that didn't do well in the pot. I put that in here and hopefully we'll propagate that. But I'm very excited to see where the nodes are. We have tiny little roots coming in, so that's very exciting. So there's a possibility that these two, if they continue to have roots and not rot, will come back, and I won't have lost anything from the horrible debacle that I had. This one, I don't know, we'll see. Like I just put this in here yesterday, and we'll see if it will grow some roots as well. That's exciting, and more to come on that. I have a couple of succulents that are in small nail polish bottles. At one point in time, I thought I was going to do some of my own nail polish creations, and nothing really ever came of that. And so these tiny little cuttings are in these bottles. They've got a good amount of roots on them. Someday I'll put them in a pot. I'm not in a big hurry. We'll see what they do. This plant here, I repotted this just the other day. It's doing really well. It's only been a couple days, so we'll see. I'm excited. I feel like it looks happier. It may just be, my projection of what I feel for this plant. I did get a notification that the stake is in the mail, so I will be able to put this plant up so that it's not trailing. And then we'll be able to, at a future date, each one of these nodes could become a new cutting. But I only wanted to do that a little bit after I find out what these guys are going to do. Like I don't want to have too many propagations going at once, just because I like to watch them and follow them, and we'll do that at that time. The other update is this particular plant. It absolutely is out of control, and it's now vining on itself. So it obviously wants to climb. I have a trellis for it. It's a very, very small trellis compared to what this plant wants to do. So I went online and I was looking at different options for trellises. And one of the things that caught my eye and my imagination was they have things called chain trellises, where people will hang them and sometimes they'll drape them around a room, and they'll let whatever kind of plant climb on it and vine all over the place. My thought here is this particular plant, I want it to have a trellis, but if I hook it to this one, it just makes the pot too top heavy, makes the plant a little unwieldy. So I didn't like the train trellises because they were so open. So I bought regular trellises that looked to be made of maybe balsa wood or something like that. And I bought them online. I cut off the stake part of the item and I strung them together with zip ties, and I'm going to hang that on the wall. So I will take some footage of that when it's done and let you see what this amazing project entailed. It really, cost maybe more than I would have wanted, but I think in the end, we're going to have something really interesting to look at. And I think the plant will really appreciate having something to climb on besides itself. The other thing I did was I moved these plants from my big shelf over here. At one point, I cut the hortensia. Like there was a long stem here. The hortensia was growing on it. It had aerial roots, and I thought instead of having this big top heavy plant, we'll cut it and prop it in its own pot. I don't really like to behead Echeveria. I don't always have the greatest of luck with it. It worked once, so it may work again. And I was then able to move it over here because the light that I have is one of the stronger lights, and I think it will appreciate the amount of light that it's getting. I could be totally wrong, but we'll see. And then that got all of these plants over here. I didn't make any decisions on getting rid of any of them yet. I always find some small thing about each of them that I like. And with a plant, if it's not dying, I kind of feel like I don't want to kill it. I may change my mind at a certain point. Like, I really still dislike this plant. Like, I don't know if I'll ever love it. And this one as well. Like, it just is so chaotic and so weird looking. But like I said, they're still growing and hanging in there. So this plant, I thought, this one is a Kalanchoe black tie. And what you'll see is how red the edges on this look, almost a cinnamon color, very pretty. But to me, this means that the plant was getting too much light. So my thought here is under this light is a little weaker. This plant will get a little less light, but still hopefully enough. The same with the panda plant. I really don't think it should be this color, but it was very light stressed. And so maybe it'll be happy under this setup, and we'll see. What you'll see over here now is that I have moved all of my Haworthia onto this shelf, and I have so much space for Haworthia. The one thing that's on that shelf that is not a Haworthia is a trailing jade. I am not in love with this plant for a number of reasons, but right now the color on it is amazing. Like, this is what I have always wanted this color to be. Now, I removed one of the lights from the shelf because it was just such a harsh environment with the two really strong lights. Hopefully it'll retain this kind of purple color. The other thing I don't like about this plant is it's obvious that it was either a mother plant that someone took clippings off of, or it was a clipping itself. I don't really like it when you can see stumps on plants. If I did that to the plant, I would not be as upset as having bought the plant expecting something really purple and pristine and gorgeous, and getting something that looks like it was chopped and propped multiple times. Now, the other part of this is now it's growing some nice purple sun stressing. This is exactly what I wanted. Maybe this plant will grow on me again. It's not an actual jade, which some people might know I'm not necessarily a fan of jade plants. So that's there, and it'll stay there. Hopefully that's the right amount of light for that plant. I've tried to arrange the plants in a way that the ones that were getting the more light are in the middle, the ones that were getting a little less light are towards the back. We're going to get various amounts of sun stress on these plants. I think this one over in the corner needs a whole lot less light than the others. And so we're going to just see if we can have a really nice Haworthia shelf. And I've got space for more, which I just find so exciting. So spring is coming, and I will shop online, and I'll shop in the stores, and I'll just see if I can find a Haworthia that I don't have, or maybe one that I've never seen before. And then what you'll see with the Gasteria shelf now is anything that was a Haworthia, I've moved up to the Haworthia shelf, and now I've got spaces for more Gasteria. Absolutely love that idea. Some of these may need repotted into bigger pots as they grow, and now I've got room. I've got so much room. I left them basically where they were because one of my opinions on plants is that you shouldn't move them too often. You know, in the wild, you have to figure that plants are not nomadic. They get in a spot and they stay in that spot. The more often that you move a plant around, the more likely they have to readapt to whatever microclimate you put them back in. So I didn't want to move them from the spots they were in, but I'm really thrilled about the amount of space that I could fill in at a later date. So that's really exciting. The other thing that I did was I moved the peperomia back up here. This was where my marble queen was. And I moved my Kalanchoe here. Now, I don't think that's a great spot for the Kalanchoe, but maybe it really didn't like the light it was getting. I don't know. I'm not invested in this plant anymore. When the spring really gets into full swing, when we have nights that don't dip below 50, it's going outside. And then we'll have to see what it does for me in the summer. But yeah, this particular shelf has smaller shelves than I expected, And so I had to move the Marble Queen. When I had it up here, it was just so cramped and I just didn't like it. It was a showcase plant and not in a showcase position. My vision for this room was that it would be a sanctuary for me, that I would have all my plants in one place, because really this was the best room for any type of light that I might get. It's not like I could put them in the back room. I never get light there. My living room isn't set up for it. So I thought, this is the place where all the plants will be. This is my sanctuary. This is a place just that needs to feel tranquil. The color that I painted this room, this beautiful blue, was a part of that. At one point I thought, I'll paint it green, but then, a lot of plants are green. Why am I gonna paint it green? So I have this beautiful blue on the walls that just, I live for this color. This is just one of my favorite colors of all. And even on the camera, it doesn't look as bright and saturated as it actually is. This is a gorgeous color. But of course, color changes with the amount of light that's on it and the quality of the light that is on it. Let's see, you can get an idea of what that color looks like versus like what this color looks like. That's more true to the color because there's like natural light coming on it. So I bought these curtains to be a part of the vibe. They're white sheer curtains with plant print on them. And I doubled them up because I wanted to be able to filter the light during the summertime. When we get the hottest part of the summer, it's really hard to maintain any sort of temperature in this room. It's gotten up to like 85 degrees in here, and during those parts of the summer, I want to not block the light entirely because I feel like light is the purpose of a window, but yet to shield my home and my plants from the harshest of the summer. Although I really love these curtains, I bought a new plant stand. It's a corner plant stand, and the reason that it's a corner wasn't because of where I was going to put it, but I had hoped that the corner piece would lend it some stability. I have senior cats. I don't think they're going to jump on this thing, but with a cat, I mean, you just never really know. So I bought this, hoping it was more stable. And the whole point of this particular plant stand was this plant here, where I had the Marble Queen before. She was scrunched up. She really couldn't hang. I had thought that I would let her grow up the wall, but it just lacked possibilities in the place that it was. And so I wanted a showcase position for this plant, and so that's here. I'm happy with that, but what I'm not happy with is when the Marble Queen was against the blue, she looks very white. Like all of these look, people were telling me this is a Snow Queen because of how white she looks. However, when you put her against actual white, it washes out this color and makes it kind of like a dirtier yellowy color, and I didn't like that. And so I've ordered new curtains, which hopefully will come today, to give it kind of a blue and cream background instead of this white and green color. The other thing with this plant stand is I've got 4 more spots. I don't know what I'm going to put there, but what you can see at this time of the day, I get direct sun on this plant stand. Now, there's not like a whole lot of direct sun on this plant because I've got blinds. So there's half blinds. It's got some direct sunlight, not a lot. A plant here would have direct sunlight for a little bit of time, not a whole lot. So I'm not certain what I'm going to put here. I'll have to really think about it. But the whole purpose of the plant stand was to give this Marble Queen a place of prominence and just pride and joy in my collection. So what I'll do is I will make some changes. I'll put some things up, I'll rearrange a couple things, and then, I will show you what's going on. So what you'll see is I have placed the trellis where I would like to place it. Like I said, these are just basically balsa wood glued together trellises, but I really like the hexagon look. It gives it kind of a chain-like feel. They are hooked to the wall with a command hook, and I was going to paint it a color, But I thought to myself, you know, ultimately that doesn't matter. What matters is not necessarily what it looks like, but does it function? Does the plant like it? And we'll see. So my next step will be to put the plant on the trellis, and then we'll see if the plant likes it. Okay, so here's the final product for now. And then we'll have to see what the plant thinks. Where's it want to go? What's it going to do? I did unwind it a little bit from itself. Probably didn't make it too happy. So we've got this going on. So I'm just really excited to see what it thinks. One of the considerations is this plant now needs to be watered in place, and how am I going to do that? So that's something I'll have to think about for the future. This is a really weird plant to me. I do like it. It's definitely an experiment to me. Very interesting plant, doing a lot of weird things. So I can't wait to see what it thinks of its new situation, if this was a good idea, or if eventually I might have to take more drastic measures. Like my understanding is with Hoya, you shouldn't cut the vines off. If this was any other kind of plant and it was doing something I didn't like, I would just cut the vines off. So wish me luck. I got my curtains and I got them up. This is pretty good. I like the color. I like the light filtering aspects of it. I feel like it's less filtering than what I had previously. When I look at the floor, I can see actual sunlight and I can see the pattern from the lace. Very pretty. I had a couple of observations about the blue lace is exactly the color that I wanted. Let's see if I can get a good look at the color. It's such a pretty blue. I would have liked to have had maybe 2 of these instead of a backing sheer color, but it's so sheer that this would never filter light. You can see through it like completely. But it's pretty and it's a great color. It's exactly what I would have wanted. And then the other one that I got is, once again, much more sheer than the other curtains that I had. And the color is not exactly what I wanted. This was listed as beige. Let's see if I can get a good look at the color though. It's more of like a golden color than a beige color. But once it's up here and the blue is on top of it, it gives it kind of maybe a less golden type of tinge. This plant against this background looks amazing. And like I said before, this is a plant that I wanted to have a place of prominence and to look really pretty, and you'll see that it pretty much does. Without the white in the back, it looks more white in this light. But I'm pretty pleased overall. Better than I expected when I saw the color in the package. I wish it was a little less sheer, but I think it does what I'll need it to do for the summer and just block some of the light at the hottest part of the day, and yet not really block it too much so that the plant still gets some ambient light when the sun's beating in these front windows.